Alrighty guys, let's get started with Torchlight Infinite, and we're going to be making a brand new character. It's going to be a beginner's guide as well, just a little brief beginner's guide. So we're going to start a brand new character over here. So I want to focus this on making this a summoner slash minion build. We're going to be selecting Moto for this. Keep in mind, you can kind of make your build based around a lot of the different hero classes, but for the sake of this, we're going to be using Moto. So the reason why is you have this extra bonus on Commander. Each one of these heroes has a hero trait, but there's also additional hero traits that you may not be able to see right now, as this game is still currently in the works. But you can download and play this game on Steam right now, and this is what's available for us. So we have Commander, so we're going to be able to make it so all of your minions gain overload for 4 seconds when a summon skill is used. So the overload cooldown has a timer on cooldown. So this is basically the difference between your class and another class. There's also certain items that require a very specific weapon to perhaps use, but for the most part, you can use most skills on most of the different heroes. It's not like if you select this hero, you're locked out, you cannot play minions, but for the most part, Moto is going to be probably your go-to, especially if you're a beginner player. So let's go ahead and make a character, and we'll go and play a little bit. Summon. So if you're a fan of maybe the Necromancer in maybe other video games, this will definitely be kind of your go-to. We're going to skip out on this, going right into the gameplay, and I'll show you guys some of the stuff with this game. Now, we are playing on the PC. I have all the settings maxed out because in this version of Torchlight, we're now able to go unlimited as far as FPS goes, although YouTube only really allows 60 FPS anyways. So here's how this character works. So we have a right click that will summon a minion. We're gonna have to actually do this short little tutorial in the very beginning. But now we have what's basically like a support skill. I know a lot of you guys maybe followed me for Path of Exile or Diablo, so I'll mention some stuff if it is similar. But what we got is a support gem. We're gonna throw the minion damage inside of the summon machine guard. Here's what it does. One thing that's really cool with Torchlight Infinite, it gives you the ability to click on certain things if you don't know what they do. So it summons a machine guard at the location that does melee damage and attack damage and has overpowered onslaught as their skills. What do these do? Well, just click on it and it'll give you a description. You can go into your character's stat page and you'll be able to see very specific things that you can maybe click on to get more info. But since this is going to be kind of like an introduction to the game as well, I'm going to go through things a little bit faster just so we can see more stuff. But most of the stuff is pretty basic. The little red thing over here, that's our life. This is our mana. We need to use mana for skills. And then we have a potion that we can activate. You can actually get lots of different potions in this game. You can get one that activates and heals instantly. Some are over time. Some will heal mana. Some will be hybrid. It's a really cool system in Torchlight Infinite. But a big shout outs to Torchlight for sponsoring this video. But I've played Torchlight before and I actually already had interest in this game. In fact, I've already made several videos before they even hit me up to make sponsor content for them. But this is going to be just like a very basic beginner's guide to the game and kind of get you guys started. And I would say minions are great for beginner players, as there's more targets on screen. The chances of you taking damage are going to be a lot less if you have a lot more minions being able to soak up that damage, and it's a completely different play style, which is cool. So we have this little thing that will kind of fill up over here, and when we want to activate it, we can. Different heroes will have different abilities, like the Berserker class gains extra attack speed when you have this proc through rage. It kind of depends on what you want to do, because you can do a lot of really cool things in Torchlight Infinite, which we'll dig into. So if you're one of those action RPG lovers that likes complexity with your games, this game will have a lot to actually offer, which is awesome. We have to eliminate one more. Okay. So in the very beginning, this is kind of like the intro stage. You just got to clear out everything. And then there is some cutscenes we're going to be skipping out on, because I want to show you guys as much as I can in a short amount of time to give you guys a good little introduction, show you guys as much content as I can real fast over here. So we're hitting for millions of damage, but later that will be changing very soon, because this is kind of like the intro stage. So we're going to kill the Supreme Will. But speaking of things that are more complex in the game, because I like that in my games, and it's a good system where they have where you can be very new to action RPGs and have a great time with this game, but if you like the complexity, it is there. What I mean by that is, if you want to build a character that's based around doing extra damage based off of mana versus just like raw plus to spell damage, right? You have that as an option. You can make characters that are based around crit like you can in most games. So there are things that are familiar with other action RPGs, but it's going to tell us we got a talent. We can put a talent point in. Okay, so this is where it gets pretty crazy, and this is where I really like this game. So you have multiple of these different talents that you can select from. Now, depending on what class, they kind of give you a recommendation. You can see there's a little star here. We're going to go ahead and select this one because this one has the tags of summon plus sentry. You'll see some of the other ones have like chance and physical, which can be based off of like a crit chance or something like that. Or if you want like extra like lightning damage, you could build the character that you want. Your fantasy can be fulfilled. Whatever you want to play. You want to play something a little bit weird? Hey, there's a lot of options. I'm just going to select this one for now. As our first one. You'll get more at level 20, you get another one. At level 45, you get another one. But you have kind of like what would be kind of generic stats over on the very beginning, which is basically just coming down to plus minion damage, minion life, or sentry damage, which is a different form of other ways you can deal damage. But the final nodes are sometimes a little bit more interesting. Like we have +2 minion skill level. This is pretty good, as your skills will level up and your supports will also level up as well. So if you played Path of Exile, kind of think of it like that, +2 skill level, that's what it would be. Or if you play Diablo, +2 skill level, that's a pretty good thing, right? If you played D2. So over here at specifically 10 and 20, we actually happen to have these like bigger talent nodes that we can acquire. You can see this is going to give us a massive +3 to minion skills. That's great. But it's minus 25% minion aggressiveness. What does that do? Hey, click on it and it'll tell you. Minions become more aggressive and will target enemies within a greater area. So what that can mean is that you may want to increase the aggro range. So that would be like, sometimes there's a give and a take in some of these. Some of these, there is no like take. It's just a stat. Like this is pretty cool too, right? The main hand weapon is applied to minions. That could be very interesting. So you can maybe run a unique that could be a little bit more interesting. This is where, again, the game gets complex. I won't go and sit here for like, I could sit here for like an hour and go over all of these talent nodes, but I kind of want this to be a little bit fast. But check out this. We can get extra minion attack and cast speed and 100% summon skill cast speed. Or we can get an additional sentry, or we can have a 35% chance to gain barrier when taking damage. So more on the defensive side. So a lot of these have a lot of variation to it. For the sake of this, I'm just going to stack damage so we can clear out content faster. But basically, what I'm trying to show off is the game has complexity. Now, if you're downloading this game on Steam, you'll have pretty much instant access, let me see if we have it already, to be able to get more support gems. So these are like our main skill. If I want to change this, I can just click change, and I can just get any of these skills. I'm not sure if this is going to be out on full release. We can, for example, we can take like leap attack. Some of these will require a very specific type of weapon, so be on the lookout for that. We can take shadow dash as well. It depends on the weapon that we have. We'll probably get a dagger pretty soon. This one doesn't require anything, but just read the tag filter. And what's cool with this, you'll see like this one says summon synthetic troop. So when you get some of these support gems, which we will get into a little bit later, for example, this minion one will have summon / support. So basically we can change this one up if we would want to, maybe with another one. So at the moment, a lot of these are grayed out, but it's basically showing you which ones could work with it. You'll see that there's a green check mark. So you're not putting in gems as support gems to make it so it doesn't work. There's also a mana multiplier. Most of the time you would want to get whatever upgrades that you can. If you have more sockets, essentially, you would definitely put it in. However, we're getting our first like item over here. There are certain circumstances where mana thresholds could mean something, which is kind of like mana reserved in PoE. So you'll basically reduce your maximum mana to have an aura in the game, which will give you some sort of a benefit. So we're going to go ahead, and we have our objectives here. My camera is actually blocking, so I'll move my face out of the way just for a second so you guys can see the objective. There's also a mini map that tells me exactly where to go. And if I get lost, I can click on the objective and it'll point me in the right direction. So if you're brand new to action RPGs, it's great because some quests, you know, it can be confusing on exactly where to go. But we do have some items, and we will go destroy this spark over here. And one thing that's cool is you don't have to be directly above the item to click on it, and it just goes straight to our inventory. Again, we'll skip out on some of the cutscenes, but there is voice acting and there is more lore in case any of you guys do want to see that. This boss over here has a bunch of little like AoE circles. Don't stand in them. Basically, a lot of the boss mechanics in this game Generally, standing behind the boss is usually about the safest spot. Just don't stand right in front of the boss. But there are boss mechanics where you will want to definitely dodge, which is good. I think this is like respectable because I want the game to be challenging too. And as you get further in the game, there are these like maps, which we'll get into, not into this video because this is just like our introduction to the game. So you'll see over here we have these little like pluses. So we have these minion damage. This is just upgrading. You always click on the green arrow. There are exceptions though if you don't want to pay maybe certain extra mana costs, or certain things with auras can make you not want to get certain levels. But for the most part, like 99% of the time, you do want that. We actually have a skill slot variant. So right now we had our ability of the potion, which this one actually gives us life and mana, but we can now get another skill. So what do I want? Well, I want some movement, right? So let's say I already have this one in my inventory, but I'm gonna hit install. It's gonna put in a movement ability, and we will get, as we just progress in the game, we don't have to, like in Path of Exile, you have sockets in your item, right? And you have to get these jeweler's orbs to make more. As you play this game, you're gonna get more energy, and as you get more like energy, you're gonna acquire more skills, as well as more basically sockets. If you want to think of more ways to support your gems, your skills essentially, right? That's what it will actually do. And so it's really nice for progression because sometimes you don't get so lucky, right? We have another talent node. So what it's going to require to get like the next one, you'll see it starts off at 0, then it goes to 3, 6, and you know, so forth. You're going to need to put 3 points in here to get this one. So we're just getting minion damage, nothing too special here. We'll eventually maybe make some build guides later down the line. I already have a Gemma one that is pretty fun with ice that we're dropped on the channel here. But now we have leap attack as our skill, but I like this one over here. So we're going to hit skip. And oh, also, I should probably go over the inventory because this is actually important for any action RPG. So the short key is B for bag. So we can just start equipping things because I have nothing in the slot right now. Now, one thing to take note of, it will give you this plus survival or plus damage. Now, it's not always green arrow equals good, it's just 100% better. It's not actually always the case with this game, but for beginners, it is at least something to give you an idea on, you know, what could be a better equip. This does require you to read, but that's, you know, normal in most action RPGs. I know for some games, people like to simplify just numbers, like more damage, equip that, more armor, more HP equip. But it's not always that simple. You could be scaling barrier, which we have a little bit. That yellow indicates our barrier, which is basically like a mana shield or energy shield if you've played Diablo 3. There are some like mechanics that will give you basically like a barrier, right? So that goes on top of your HP. So we're just going to keep on summoning our minions over here. You see we have a change over here with a buff. We have increased extra attack speed, block chance, and damage dealt while having a weapon in each hand. So there are certain benefits to having certain weapon archetypes based off of your tree as well. But yeah, nice little bonus over here. You can equip a shield, and I like how in this hand, like you can check right now, we've got, as right now we've got a hammer, and then we have an axe. So you can see that there are different weapon archetypes in the game that you can mix and match. Some games won't let you do that, so I actually really like that, you know, to give you the option to do it. So we're just going to continuously go, and one thing that's nice with this ability on the hero talent, can I actually show off more of them? So we have what's called the hero trait. This is what we have. Oh yeah, we could show it off. Okay, this is important. Okay, so as we progress in our character's level, and there are different hero traits for the same hero that you can unlock in the game. Some of them you can select at the moment. There's another one that you can select, Ricardo, but there are multiple ones, and these can completely change up your build. So the first one that you get, like at 15, it's just like free effect. Like, let me move my face out of the way. So we just get like bonus overload effect. Minions last 10% longer when gaining overload. That's just like free buff. But this one over here, we have 100% overload effect on minions. Overload effect minus 9% per 0.2 up to minus 180. And then overload grants plus 40 crit strike rating. So I can choose this one, or I can select this one, which gives us plus overload duration. Overload grants 10% life restoration speed and 10% chance to hit taunted enemies. So there are some like changes, and some of these will completely change your build. I'm not going to go over all of them for this video for the sake of just giving you guys kind of an introduction for the game. But again, if you are stuck at any point over here, see if we okay, right here, I can click on this and you can see that there's this little orange indication on where to go. So like I said, it's very beginner friendly for anyone that's new. We can also maybe pretty soon can we get these spider tanks. Let's see if we can grab these. Let's see. We have machine guard. We have spider tank at 7. We are currently, what level are we? So I can just hit this over here and go to my character and go to info. We're at level 3, I believe. So we got a while to go before we get that. But in terms of like, if you haven't played an action RPG before, you can definitely have a lot of fun with this game without needing to feel like you have to watch someone's guide, which is excellent. Obviously, it will only help if you watch guides, but I know some games are very complex. But like, I've played the game, I've reached the end game, which is a system where you can like have these modifiers to make things more difficult. There are bosses, and you gotta learn these boss mechanics if you want to defeat the bosses. Like, they have patterns, which is good, because I think that I personally like to be challenged in like the end game bosses. I don't want to be rolling over them instantly. Obviously, as your character grows and becomes more stronger, you can definitely destroy these bosses super fast, but it's going to require some skill. But the game is very active in the sense where like there are things on the ground that you don't want to stand in, which is like kind of standard. But yeah, I feel like the game is relatively challenging. We got another talent node. Remember to just put these in the very beginning. Most of these are kind of minor up until we get like, I would like to get orders on this one. And as we progress, can I actually check out the other? Okay, we have to get to level 20 before I can select other ones. But there are ones where you can like increase crit, or based off of crit, you can do like multi-strikes. There's a lot of other really interesting things that I don't want to overcomplicate things with this video over here. But you do have like waypoints, so you'd be able to access. You can go back into town like you would in any game. But basically, we're just going along over here as the summer, and it's just to show you guys kind of how to play the game. But basically, we let most of the minions do the work, and we're here just to collect the loot. Speaking of that, you do get a progression system where you can get like a pet. The pet can actually pick up loot for you, so it's very chill. We're obviously playing this on the PC version, but this game feels so smooth on 240. I know, again, YouTube only allows 60, but in terms of like feedback, since I had last played, this is great. That's what I'm enjoying. But I'll be dropping a lot more Torchlight videos soon. Like I said, I already had interest in the game before they offered to sponsor me for this video. But yeah, it's a nice little introduction. We'll have to go over here and open up this, and we'll talk to this guy. They have little character animations. There is cutscenes as well, and now we have some more things to play around with. New skills. And one thing I like with the game right now, in terms of like, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get all of this like when the game fully launches, but I can get these other things over here. We can place a sentry. So we can select whatever sentry we want. And maybe we want to do a cold build. Maybe we want to do a fire build. I don't know. It's kind of up to you on what you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and select this ice one over here. And we're going to go throw this one in. So we're going to go ice one and equip this one right here. Install it. And now we'll have this on our skill, so I can throw this down. And I think how this one works, this is where it becomes a little bit more interesting. Our minions are so good, though. They're just destroying everything. So we have this link. Okay, the minion will eventually hopefully get eliminated, so we can show off this skill. Okay, the minion's gone. So what's cool with this is like it creates a link between me, and I can freeze the enemies. And there's also, if I click on the enemy, you can also build up stacks of like chill, which will obviously slow down the enemy. So that's kind of like a defensive stat as well as offensive stat. So what I'm just trying to explain with you guys in terms of like the introduction here to the game is there are more interesting ways to play. Like you can throw like a normal fireball, but you can add more projectiles to it, giving you more things to actually shoot out. Or you can kind of change it up if you maybe throw different supports on Ice Bond, which we could do if we wanted to. We could get some different things, and let's go and show off that, because I think that that's the most important thing, is that like you get to build your character that you want to build. You can build your fantasy, which is one thing that I always like. And you can have multiple. One thing that I think is really cool, and I also want to mention, like right now we don't have lots of like massive link skills, but you can incorporate multiple skills. If you want to use one for like chill, and then based off of chill you can activate something else, and then based off of having these certain conditions, the enemy will take more damage, and you can add a lot more complexity. But let's say I really enjoyed ice spawn, right? I can swap it right here. For now, we would just have to select it. Later down the line, you can put these little points in as you progress. But we don't have that for this. Now, you can see that this one has an up arrow. What does that mean? Well, I can upgrade my shadow dash. What does the upgrade do? Well, if you mouse over it, you can see the changes via the text over here. Sometimes for skills you may not want to upgrade. It depends on, like, you know, maybe extra mana cost when you're putting in more gems, things like that. So it's kind of up to you on that. So we have another one, plus 30% minion damage. That's going to be a nice little big node. But as we progress over here, they'll get more and more useful in here, where they're going to be more build defining, but specifically like extra sentry skill charge. That could be great. But the big nodes right here that are build defining are at like 10 and 20. But depending on your level, obviously this will change, but it's also based on how many points that you're putting in here. But that's where it gets a little bit more complex. But let's go and see what we can throw in. Let's say, like, I'm not enjoying this skill, right? And this is the cool thing with this. I can just change it at any point. There's no, like, I have to pay gold or anything to, like, unsock it, right? So I can throw in, like, ice spawn, throw that in, bam, we installed that. And you can see minion damage is grayed out because this doesn't count as a minion. It's a summon support. So you can see, oh, well, this one's a summon support. This one is spell, cold, sentry, laser beam. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to change this. Now, what works with this? I may not have one that works with it right now, which is totally fine. I can maybe add, I guess this one works with it. So I could add extra lightning damage, extra chance to shock. So you can see you can use certain skills to apply shock. And what does shock do? That's going to make an ailment that's triggered on hit, which makes it so shocked enemies take secondary lightning damage equal to base shock damage when hit. So you can apply some sort of debuff to an enemy and use multi-skills if you want to. I've made builds with just literally like leap slam, which is really, really cool. And I've made builds with just using one skill. So if you want to play with one skill, that's cool. But if you like the complexity, the game does offer like adding multiple levels of things to your skills, more diversity, that kind of stuff. We'll unlock them as we progress. But this is going to be where I end off on this little introduction to the game. But let me know, guys, your thoughts on it. And yeah, that's about 20 minutes of like the introduction to Torchlight Infinite as a summoner. But later down the line, there's going to be a lot more stuff that we can do. Maybe we'll make a build guide later down the line. So if this is your first time here and do want to see more, make sure you guys are subscribed with the bell notification on. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. And big shout outs again to Torchlight for sponsoring this video, because I was already playing the game anyways, and I'm having a blast doing it. There's going to be so many more cool things to check out in the future. But take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.